Why am I done as a WWE reviewer? It should come as no surprise that WWE has really lost its way in recent times. From Vince McMahon's stubborn refusal to accept that the Roman Reigns experiment has failed miserably, from being unmercifully booed ever since winning the 2015 Royal Rumble and to retiring The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33, which was met with nuclear heat that dwarfed X-Pac and Vicky Guerrero's, respectively. Some argue that Roman is John Cena 2.0. See, I disagree with that, because John Cena, at the very least, had somewhat plausible charm, wit, and charisma. Sure, some of the promos that he cut were so cringy and cheesy that not even I would venture there. His John Cena Walker promo from June 2012 notwithstanding. Seriously, John, what the hell? The point is, the audience is split with him. 50 are with him, 50 tell him to shut the heck up. Roman just doesn't have the charm, wit, nor talent to pull off his character. This was especially highlighted in a live shoot promo between him and his predecessor in September 2017, where Cena said, "This is how to promo." And also, suffering succotash. Ugh. That's cringe. That would be cringy even by 90s standards. For the record, I have the issue with the character of Roman. The athlete I recognize being very talented and more than capable of having decent matches. As for the person behind the character, I don't have an opinion on him as I don't know him. Now to the question. Why am I leaving the community as a reviewer now when several others like Random DCE left years ago? It is true that I have been more than lenient with their storylines and match execution in my 14 years reviewing the product. I think WrestleMania 20 was one of the first pay-per-views I reviewed purely for my own amusement back in the day. As it pertains to YouTube, I think Survivor Series 2008 was the first that I reviewed on my first channel. But it's lost due to poor archiving on my part, so I hold my hand up to that one. Although, that said, the audio was beyond terrible with the low-budget mic that I owned back then, so blessing in disguise, maybe? I am leaving because the current storyline between Sasha Banks and Bayley was just beyond asinine and insulting to mine and others' intelligence that was the straw that broke the camel's back. For those not in the know, at Elimination Chamber earlier this year, Sasha did a heel tactic whilst being a face and kicked Bayley off the top of a pod, and Bayley has had it in for Banks since then, and from that perspective, who could blame her? But when it came to where the two started to come to blows with each other and they began attacking each other in and out of the ring, you would think they would pull a playbook from Triple H and Shawn Michaels from June of 2004 and put them in a match to settle it once and for all. And for context, the match in question was at Bad Blood in June 2004 in a Hell in a Cell match, and it was one of the most brutal cell matches I have seen as a fan, and it marked HBK's first cell match since defeating The Undertaker for #1 contendership for the then WWF Championship in October of 1997, which would then go on to Survivor Series 97, and you all know how messy that got. So, with the track record for ending hostile charged animosities, you would think they would do the same to end a heated rivalry like this, right? Friendship counseling. I was left speechless at the very notion of this asinine approach. Further ridiculous writing ensued by the added stipulation of if they didn't attend counseling, they would be fired. The fact that Corey Graves, who is a color commentator, and a very good one I might add, was highlighting that they should just put them in the ring speaks volumes. And the fact that the Dr. Shelby character had been brought back in was even more irritating, as I didn't care for his antics the last time he was present in the company when he was an anger management therapist to Team Hell No. And what makes matters worse is that this is a reworked version of Lay Cool going through couples therapy in summer 2011. First off, the idea was already terrible when that stable wasn't even a couple. They were friends having disagreements. So, to have that abomination of a story rear its ugly head once more, but having it worked into an angle that serves no purpose to further the story between these two wrestlers, who clearly want to tear into each other, is just frustrating as a fan to watch, because I know they can do better! Way better than this! I have said down the years that summer of 2011 involving CM Punk was some of the best work that the company had done in years. They were angles that the fans could get behind, and it was a wrestler that the people liked and wanted to see the product improve as much as we wanted it. And in the 4 years since he left, his pipe bomb in 2011 and his interview on Colt Cabana from 2014, he has been vindicated. With Vince McMahon still in charge, they are just going from bad to worse, because every single story has to get approved by him. Say what you will about Triple H, the character, but on NXT, he is doing what the main roster isn't. Producing not only good wrestling, but great stories and allowing the announcers to call moves. Sit down and pay attention, Michael Cole. This is how people know how to call matches properly. And let's talk about the dedicated Brock Lesnar a minute, shall we? This is where I shall be objective and then shoot the shit like Austin and Punk. Objectively, Brock Lesnar is a phenomenally talented athlete that has the rare balance of power and agility. He is a freak of nature. There aren't many wrestlers like him. Personally, I think his promo skills suck, but that's not exactly new. Personally, why is he here? He only shows up when it suits him, and that's sparingly 4 to 5 times a year at best. Michael Cole makes this statement during one pay-per-view, that Brock Lesnar has only been pinned once in the last few years. What he doesn't tell you is that, as I just mentioned, Brock only shows up sparingly when the cash is good. And as for his stint as Universal Champion, I want to take you down memory lane a minute. Such a great place, memory lane. In fall of 2004, Eric Bischoff pointed that due to the fact that Edge was injured, that would go against the rule of the mandatory 30-day title defense rule. And since Edge was not able to compete due to injury, he was stripped of the Intercontinental Championship. And Brock was last on pay-per-view at the Greatest Royal Rumble, which at the time of writing this was 75 days ago. So he should have been stripped of it twice by now. And let's not even count his WWE Undisputed Championship reign from SummerSlam 2014 to WrestleMania 31. Furthermore, word on the wire is that Brock has held the Universal title for this long, from WrestleMania 33 to this point, just to spite CM Punk and break his 430-day title reign as WWE Champion. Are you really that petty? Punk has not given the slightest ounce of a care since he not only split in January 2014 and misdiagnosing his staph infection, which could have killed him by the way, but you purposely want to rub more salt into the wound to a man who not only despises pro wrestling, but gave away the WWE Championship he won from Cena in 2011 to a friend for free. The man has washed his hands of you. It sounds like you need him more than he needs you. So, SummerSlam 2018. My last ever preview and review for Raw Down Rebound. It's taken me a while, but I have finally had the wool taken off of my eyes. So, now L-Man, X24 Rider, and Randy DCE get to say, I told you so. The only way, and I mean this, the only way I will come back to review WWE is when Vince McMahon is no longer in charge. He is single-handedly killing his own creation with outdated booking tactics and not recognizing stars that need and deserve pushes. From Dolph Ziggler, Finn Balor, Cesaro, and many others. Also, you think Caitlyn's not attractive? I appreciate that attractive is subjective and everyone has their own perception and interpretation of what they deem as attractive, beautiful, enticing, all that jazz. But the very notion that Caitlyn isn't remotely attractive to you, you, sir, have lost the plot. Although, given some of your bizarre ideas down the years, that would beg to question that you had it to begin with. XFL and Katie Vick ring any bells? I am cancelling my subscription to the network after SummerSlam and will more likely only renew it for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. As I promised Win the Rogue and Awesome Lydia, I will watch it with them whilst discording as a fan and only a fan, because for the other 10 months of the year, I have better things to spend my money on. Now, by that statement, am I being a tiny bit hypocritical? Partially. Like I said, I'm doing those 2 events for my girls. And that's it. WWE has the talent to work with. Great talent, I might add. From the likes of Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Sasha, and Bayley. But they don't do anything useful with them. When you look to the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression eras respectively, minus Katie Vick, a lot of the writing and matches were consistent and quality. From The Rock, HBK, Shawn Michaels, my personal favourite, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker in his prime, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Val Venus, The Godfather, and the New Age Outlaws, to the Hardy Boys, Dudley Boyz, Edge and Christian, and everyone's favourable, lovable guy, Mick Foley. These were talented athletes that the company, more specifically McMahon, knew what to do with back then. Now, McMahon is just a shell of his former self, using booking tactics that are simply outdated now. A friend of mine once said, you have to learn to adapt and roll with the times, because if you don't, you'll be left stale, stagnant, irrelevant, and left in the past. McMahon is not doing this, and that is why Raw is tanking in the ratings even more so. If something didn't work during the Attitude Era, they would change direction and work out what did work. JR once said, the consumer is always right. When Austin got over with the fans, they began building the company's future around it because he was the right guy at the right time to steer the ship into the future in the late 90s. What the WWE need now is a figure on the roster that will resonate with the audience and someone they can get behind. Roman Reigns is not the guy. He's not the guy. He never was. The WWE had a modern day version of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and his name was CM Punk. But true to form with the company, they mishandled him, and now they're paying the price. Because when you have library silences and fans walking out on your main event at pay-per-views, just look at this year's Backlash, then there is a clear message: something is wrong. I am looking forward to Sunday, August 26th next month, 1 week removed from SummerSlam 2018, because it will be my last pay-per-view ever to cover in modern WWE unless circumstances change where McMahon is no longer in charge. I have respect for what he has built from the small promotion, by comparison, that he purchased from his father in 1984, turning it into this giant global conglomerate. But he is not the same man anymore. It's sad to see the company in this state, but I just cannot review it anymore. And that's the bottom line, because MJ Knight said so.